To get started, we need to install a copy of Booking Robot on our test website. We're going to visit bookingrobot.com and we're going to download the free edition of the software and then install it on our test website. So let's get started. So we're going to use a test website and we've called it Bob's Boat Trips. Now Bob has been running boat trips for many years and he's finally decided he wants to start taking online bookings. So he's going to use the Booking Robot extension to do this. Before we can add it to the website, we need to actually then download the extension. This can be done via the Joomla extension directory, but the easiest option is simply going to the website of bookingrobot.com, looking for the buy button, clicking on that, and where we'll be presented with three options: a free edition, a standard edition, or a complete edition. For now, we're going to be working with the free edition, but later in our video series, we're going to start to look at some of the features that are included in the paid versions. So let's click on the free button, where we'll have the option to fill out our details to be able to download. I'm going to do this relatively quickly and fast forward the video just so you're not taking too long. It's all relatively self-explanatory. Once we've filled everything out, we're now ready to click subscribe, where it gives us access via members access to then make the download. Where I'm going to navigate to the free edition. That can be done via the main menu or here at the side, where there'll be a link to download the extension. We'll click on that once and it'll start to download the free edition. We'll just wait that to finish. It'll take a little moment. While it's doing that, there it's finishing now, we can now go back to Bob's website where we can log in as an administrator and we can look to install the extension by going to Extensions, Manage, Install, Install from File, and we can drag that file into this unit here, wait for it to upload. It'll take a little minute depending on your internet speed. Once installed successfully, you'll see this message here, and now we're ready to start setting the extension up. The first stage of setting up involves adding a menu item to the front end. So let's do that now. We're going to go to Menus and Main Menu. We're going to click New, and we're going to call it, Book Online. You can really be called anything you want now. And then we're going to go to our menu type and go for Booking Robot and Booking. That's simple. Save and close. What we'll now do is we're going to have a look at the front end of our website. We'll refresh this to see the changes and we can see we have a Book Online menu item. If we click on that, we'll see we already have the first stages of our booking process. Alright, now let's continue to fill out some details. So we're going to go to Components and Booking Robot, where we'll see our free edition of the Booking Robot system, and we're going to add some settings in here. We're going to go to Options and we're going to go through all of these settings. Some are relevant to what we're going to do just now, some aren't, but we'll have a quick mention of all of them. The download ID is relevant to the paid version, so it allows you to get automatic updates when new editions come out. The cancel pending booking is the number of minutes you have to complete a payment before the booking becomes cancelled. So if somebody goes through the process of filling out all the details but doesn't actually make a payment, then after 30 minutes or whatever you set it to, the booking becomes cancelled and then somebody else can book up the slot. I'm going to leave that at 30 minutes because that was a reasonable time for somebody to actually complete a payment. Services as options is a really handy option. We'll come back and look at this setting later in our video series. Timestamp. This is quite an important one and we're going to click yes for now, and I think we'll immediately go and think about that. So let's click Save and Close, and we're going to look at our front end and refresh, and we can now see we've got a current time being added here. It's really important this is actually correct to your local time, because many of the sort of processes within the booking system will depend on what time of day it is. If this isn't correct, you need to go to your global settings within Joomla, and we're looking for server, no it's not, it's system, and here we're looking for, where was it? Was that correct to start with? Server, sorry, server to start with, and we're looking for our server time. I'm in the UK, so I'm going to put London, and that ensures my local time is set up correctly on my server, and a way to check it is our timestamp should be correct to today's date and time. If it's not, you need to look into this further, otherwise you'll have problems later. That's correct for my computer here, so what I can now do is I can go to Booking Robot and back into our options to our settings, where I can now disable that timestamp. It's a handy little tool, that one. Single country bookings is our next setting option. So if you want to limit bookings to a particular country, you can do so. I'm not going to, but I will add in a default country of United Kingdom, which will populate our address system when people are filling out their personal details later on as a default. After that, we're on to some notification options. So this is the email address that will be displayed, that notification emails are sent from. So I'm going to add an option in here of Bob at Sky Test Site. That'll do. And a notification of Bob Boat Trips. That'll do nicely. So let's make sure we spell it right. That'll do. Let's click Save. And we'll continue through our settings. The next one we need to think about is PayPal. I'm going to set up using a test PayPal account, using the PayPal sandbox system. But the process we're going to go through is exactly the same if you're going for live settings, but you just fill in the appropriate boxes for that. Before you can actually take payments, you need to set up a business PayPal account. If you go to the PayPal website, it's pretty straightforward to do this. We're going to go to Sign Up and make sure you select a business account. Otherwise, you won't have some of the features you require to actually utilize all the features of the Booking Robot system. Okay. So let's continue through our settings. So I'm going to add in some settings which I've got stored off screen here. Let's take some across. So we're using the sandbox system, yes. We've added in the email address. I'm using pounds sterling, so you can add in your own currency there. Then you need to digitally add on the keyboard your currency symbol. The next settings aren't required, but are quite handy. After a booking is being completed, you have the option of directing the customer to a particular URL if you want, otherwise it will use the default. And the same for cancellation. For any reason, if they stop the process or cancel the booking, this is where the customer will return to. If you're using a secure website, HTTPS, then choose yes for this. If you're not using a secure website, then simply choose no. And then we're on to the PayPal API details. Where you can get this information from is within your PayPal account, and there are some help files within the Booking Robot support section which explains how to get your PayPal API details. And this allows our system to communicate back and forward between PayPal and the extension, so you can carry out processes such as refunds. So I'm going to copy and paste a few settings across. These are all dummy settings, so don't try using them for yourself. They simply won't work for you. The settings you get generated from your own live PayPal account will look very similar to this. The last little setting I'm going to look at is the callback text, and this is a little piece of text that becomes a link if people wish to come back to your website during the payment process or after the process manually. So I'm going to go to, I'll just call it Bob's Boat. Bob's Boat Trips. That'll do. The other settings here, which we're not going to go into, give us some various options to help style the PayPal pages. Some of these don't work as well as they used to, as PayPal keeps updating their system. And I think some of these can also be done within your PayPal account directly. So we're going to leave them blank. They don't affect the standard setup. Let's click Save. The last couple of things we're going to look at is if you want to have control over the title, description and keywords in Generator for the pages that are used when bookings are made and the process throughout the system. So we can control that if you want to optimize a little bit. And the last one is our standard Joomla ACL control access level system. So you can control who has access to the extension within Joomla. That's all our settings made, so we can click Save and Close, and now we're ready to continue by adding times and services in a future video.